Welcome back to another episode of Ebony in the Kitchen, where I'm Ebony and I'm in my kitchen. On today's episode, we are going to be attempting to make sourdough bread. Now, as you get to know me, you will learn that I love bread, baking, dough, anything that rises. As many of us know, the whole current climate around COVID, most people have been sent into isolation. Earlier this year, I got COVID and I had to isolate for only a week, which was really lucky. But it gave me enough time to make starter. This is the base of your sourdough. It's the riser, the leavening agent. For the recipe for my starter, I did follow the queen of bread making herself, Mary Grace Bread, and it seemed to have worked wonderfully. This did take a very long time, about 7 to 10 days. By day 5, I started to see some really lovely, bubbly activity. And then day 7, it really took off. On day 10 today, you will see that I have this incredibly bubbly, alive starter. I did feed it last night before I went to bed and early this morning, and now it's about just after lunch. This recipe is supposed to take me about 18 hours. So let's get started. The first step is to check if our starter is ready to use for this dough. This is called the float test. So I'm gonna take a teensy bit of our starter and I'm just going to pop it in some lukewarm water, and if it floats, it's ready. Oh, baby girl, it's floating. So now we have the green light to make our sourdough. We are going to do a step called autolyse, which basically means mixing the flour and water together. Pretty simple. Into my bowl, I'm going to add 700 grams of bread flour, 300 grams of wholemeal. Apparently this just adds flavor and texture into your breads. 750 mils or grams of water. In a little sourdough set that I bought from Amazon, I can link in the description box below, I have this handy dandy little whisk thing. This step is pretty much just to hydrate the flour. Now all the flour is hydrated, I'm just going to leave this covered for 30 minutes with a damp towel. Now the dough has rested, we are going to add in 200 grams of our starter and give it a really nice mix up. I'm just going to dip my hand in this water, claw at the dough until all of the starter is combined in with the rest of the flour and water. This looks really nice and incorporated, so I'm just going to let it rest for another 10 minutes before we add some more ingredients. I'm going to add in my salt and a little bit of extra water. This is gonna take a while. In with the salt to help incorporate it is gonna go 20 grams of water. Now that I can't feel any more salt granules, I'm just gonna leave it to rest for another 10 minutes and then we can start the process of bulk fermentation. So I've transferred the dough into a glass bowl so you can kind of see what I'm doing with the whole mixing process. Dip my hand into water and then grab the dough and fold it back over itself. Turn the bowl under and back onto itself. Now that everything's in the dough, it started this process called bulk fermentation, which kind of just means rising, I guess, over and over and over, because we're building strength in the dough, we're building tension, we're making those really nice bubbles. I'm going to mix this in this foldy-like fashion for about 10 minutes, and then we'll do the window pane test. After some coffee and cleaning and just chilling out, the dough has got a few bubbles on top that I can see. It's looking really nice and aerated already, but we haven't even started the folding process. Make sure you've got wet hands. I just grab one side of the dough, a little bit more gentle than last time, pick it up, stretch it a little, and fold it on itself. Turn the dough around 90 degrees and do this 4 times the whole way around the dough. Fold it down, I'm going to cover it with a towel and leave it to sit for another hour. There's a lot of waiting and waiting. We are up to round 2 of folding. There are some really nice bubbles forming on the top of this. I'm loving how it's looking. I might be doing this right. Again, with my wet hand, just get into the side of the dough, stretch it all the way up and over itself. Turn. And you guessed it, another hour. A few moments later. We have made it to our lucky last fold, and then it will rest for another hour. So now we have finished our bulk fermentation. We have lots of bubbles, big ones and little ones, a lot underneath as well. So I'm going to assume that we're ready for pre-shaping. I'm absolutely terrified. Lightly flour my bench. I just want to let gravity do the work. A bit of flour on top of the dough. With my bench scraper, I'm just going to cut it roughly in half. Nice decisive cutting movements. Fold one half over, then I'm gonna fold the other half over that. Kind of pinch everything together. Take the bottom, loosely roll it up. Tuck the bottom under, roll the dough ball kind of like around and then back towards me to kind of shape it loosely into a ball. Oh my gosh, it's actually working. And create tension. That looks gorgeous. He's so cute, little button. Round two. Ding, ding, ding. Cover them with this tea towel. Let them rest for 15 minutes. We are going to do the final shape. Under, flip. Lightly stretch them out a bit. Very important step. We need to flour our little bread baskets. I feel like I'm on MasterChef or something. And then we fold the dough in like 4 sides kind of thing. So we meet the 12 o'clock with the 6 o'clock, overlapping lightly. And then 3 o'clock and 9 o'clock, they come in together as well. And then all these little corners, we bring these up to the middle. Once we've got these all together, we just confidently pick up the little dough ball, pop him into his little basket, all nice and snug. I did it. And then we just pinch these little seams together. I'm just going to repeat this step with this dough ball. Now I have my 2 beautiful bread dough babies. I'm going to cover them lightly with towels, put them in the fridge overnight, and I'll see you in the morning with a cup of coffee. It is finally the next day. We have our little rested dough. So it's nicely proofed. I can tell by poking it. I've taken this straight from the fridge and I'm just going to flip it the right way up onto this baking sheet. I am very proud of how this looks. I have this from my fancy pack. It's basically a razor blade on a stick. You can either do like 1 slash down the middle, but I'm gonna do like a tic-tac-toe. We go one side and then this side. It looks very gorgeous. Pop it in, just a quick little spray, and in it goes. And then I'll leave it in for 20 minutes, take the lid off, and then leave it in for another 15 to 20 minutes. Now I've got my little loaf out of the oven. You can test to see if it's ready by banging on the bottom, and that sounds pretty hollow to me. As much as I am tempted to cut into this beautiful specimen, I am going to wait and be patient for about 20 minutes or so. My bread has cooled for a little bit. I've made myself a cup of coffee and we're ready to cut into this baby. Here we are. This is the inside of our sourdough. It feels super spongy and soft, and then we have a really nice crispy crust. There's lots of like big holes and little holes. So pretty. I'm so proud. I'm really excited to try this. So, it's so bubbly. It reminds me of like crumpets, like really soft and tender in the middle. And then this really nice thick crust is so crunchy and crispy. It's the best of both worlds. If you liked this video, make sure to like and subscribe since you've already made it this far in. I hope you have a really wonderful week, and I can't wait to come back and make another video soon. So I'll see you then. Bye.